Sheila Johnson, thank you for coming to the 3050 Summit.
This is just such an honor. You have no idea.
The honor is ours. You have so many titles to your name. You are a founder, you are a musician, a philanthropist, the owner of sports teams, to a degree that no other Black woman in the U.S. has reached. You also wrote a book in which you write about your life and you write about your philosophy of running businesses. And one of the things that really stood out to me was your entrepreneurial instincts were there even in your 20s, well before you reached where you are now. Yes. How do you think you honed those business instincts?
I think it's really believing in people. So many people, it's really funny because I was visiting with Kara Swisher, who has her book that just came out, and she was talking about how entrepreneurs start out and then suddenly they become successful, very successful, and they go from the Levi set to the cashmere set. And they just kind of lose touch with people. And I think one of the things I know, because I really do believe in people and really trying to bring people along. You know, and it's all about leadership. You can lead any company, but what kind of leader are you really going to be? Are you going to be an empathetic leader or a mentoring type leader? Domineering leader? I like to be a leader that really inspires my employees. And I've mentioned this before. I call it HARP. It's about being honest, authentic, respectful, and passionate. And to be able to clearly be able to communicate to my employees my vision of how I want to grow my company. And I have to teach them and work with them on how to buy into that. And you have to be very careful with whom you hire, because if they come in with their own agenda, you don't want to keep them. They need to buy into the vision and into the teamwork and be able to work as a team to help you build your company.
And you've had experience with people who had their own agenda.
Oh, yes.
Early days of one company, you even caught someone stealing.
Yes. So the philosophy there is you hire slowly and you fire fast.
Hire slowly, fire fast.
Yes.
That's good advice. You've also shown the ability to have a remarkable commitment to the long-term vision, while other people might be tempted for the short term, optimizing for the short term. You write about the BET IPO and what some people, and like your co-founder, wanted to do with the company.
Right.
And you had a different vision. How did you manage to stick to that vision and convince others that what you wanted to do was the right path?
Well, I'm not sure if I was able during that time to convince them. I just knew what I needed to do and the value system that needed to be built within the company. Some people didn't believe in it. My co-founder didn't believe in it. And it was a case where even when you're doing an IPO, because our IPO didn't last very long, there was not enough patience to really understand how to grow the company and have the patience to make it work. There are too many people that are always interested in the bottom line and how they're going to make money fast. And when you do that, that money doesn't last very long. So you've got to be very strategic on how you want to grow the company. And there were just so many mistakes that I could see that were happening, like not really identifying the ages that we really wanted to strategically hit with our programming. So our programming never could grow. And because of that, we got into the video market way too fast because MTV did not want to promote black videos at all. That was a door that opened. That was great. But let's stick to the value system. I didn't like what I was seeing on the screen. And that's when I then decided to do a show called Teen Summit to really teach young people about smart TV watching. And that's what was really important to me.
You were overlooked and discounted and ignored as a co-founder of BET for so long. But then in your third act, you've come into your own as an entrepreneur. You have such a successful hotel line property.
Yeah.
How have you been able to overcome those days of being overlooked?
I think it was a case with the help of therapy and my mother, where they reminded me that I did have what it would take to build another company. I think when you're in an abusive relationship, you have no idea how you lose sense of yourself. And I was losing sense of myself, and I didn't have the security within myself to even think about what I needed to do. I lost belief in myself. I didn't know who I was. And then slowly, once I got out of a toxic relationship, I was then able to rebuild my life. And it took time and lots of help from a good doctor, and was able to then really strategically put together a path in which I needed to start going on. Mm-hmm. And when I decided, I've had no intentions of going in the hotel business, and I knew nothing about it. But what I did know, what I had to do, if that was what I was going to do, I needed to hire the smartest people out there. And they had to be smarter than me. Mm-hmm. And I was going to learn from them. And the fine line that and I still every day work on this, the fine line is you hire smarter people, but you don't want them to overtake you and take you for granted. You know what I'm saying?
I was going to ask you that. It's a tricky balance.
It's a very tricky balance. And I think part of it is I had the power of finance, which they did not have. And also, I was able to communicate my vision. And they really bought into my vision. And because of that, we're probably one of the most successful luxury hotel companies out there. Mm-hmm. We're recognized by Forbes. We won this award last week. Our hotel in Middleburg is one of 13 in the world to receive 15 stars. And all of our other hotels are Forbes 4 stars. So as I told the company, I said, okay, don't sit back on your laurels. We have got to keep those 15 stars, and we've got to work on the rest of the resorts to get the 5 stars. Wow. So we are very wedded to Forbes, to the training. I've actually sat in on the training myself to understand what it takes to get the Forbes awards. And that's important. I was learning the whole time, but still able to communicate what I wanted. And I knew my design. I knew exactly what I want the hotels to look like. I picked the furniture out. I've designed linens. I do all of that, but that's all from my arts background. So all of that has built in to where my vision takes me.
There are so many details in the book that illustrate the ways in which you've invested in yourself. And this is a small detail relative to the other important lessons, but you used your own art collection to decorate your property.
Oh, yes.
And I just thought that was so fitting. It felt so full circle because these were pieces you had invested in.
Yes.
With a property that you had to fight the local municipality, you had to negotiate, you had to be strategic. And then when it came time to decorate it, you were looking at your own art collection.
Yes, and there were times when I, wanted to cut the budget a little bit. So I did all my own photography. The photography's in all of the rooms. And as you get off the elevators, there's my work there. So I've done even my own personal work. And I designed the linens. And I made the mistake. They were all coming out of Italy. And I said, I can't keep this up. I got to go on a cheaper route. But the same design is still in the linen. It's just that I use another manufacturer.
Do guests realize that it's your photography?
Oh, they know.
Oh, they know.
Because I sign it.
Okay. You are proud of your name.
Yes.
As you should.
Absolutely.
I love sports, and I've mentioned this to you multiple times, but I think the fact that you own stakes in 3 professional sports leagues in the U.S. is remarkable. Quite literally, there is no other Black woman who can say the same. Can you talk about how it was that you came to do that and why it was important for you to get involved in this arena? Because you could have stuck to the arts.
I know. I think this is kind of serendipitous in the sense that I became friends with the original owner of the Capitals and the Wizards and the Mystics. I was always friends and respected this man, and it's all in the book.
Yeah, you got an interesting call from your ex saying, don't do this to me.
Don't do this to me. Because he wanted to on the
I know.
teams. So what had happened, he really disrespected A. Poland. A. Poland was very gracious. He never reacted, but he never forgot. So one day he called me and he says, I want you to be the face of the Washington Mystics. And I said, what do you mean by being the face of? He says, I'd like you to own it. I said, but the Mystics doesn't make money. And he said, but look, I'm giving you an opportunity. And I said, I'm not turning it down. Give me the financials. He says, please make up your mind soon. I then called my lawyer and I said, I've just been offered a sports team. And he says, you should not buy a sports team. I said, if you were in that position and if you were offered a sports team, what would you do? And he got very quiet. I said, you just answered my question. I said, now I want you to get Ted Leonsis on the phone, and I have the money. I want to buy into the Wizards, the basketball NBA team, and the hockey team. And I want to be a really substantial partner. And so I was able to do that. And eventually Ted named me vice chairman of Monumental Sports. He's chairman, I'm vice chairman. And I've been a very active partner in reaching out into the community and really helping that franchise be successful. You know, I mean, we won a Stanley Cup and my women won the national title. So
You have a pretty good track record.
pretty good, yeah. Now we're in a rebuilding process. Whenever you win titles, it's a refresher course again.
As a Philadelphia Eagles fan, I know this entirely too well.
Oh, yeah.
But what I wanted to come back to is a theme that I've noticed in the way that you talk about your business decisions and your personal real estate decisions is you seem unafraid to say, that's not the right value, I want this. Or
Yes.
that can't make money, but this can, and I want that. I will speak for myself. That's something I have trouble doing. I think a lot of women can struggle with being very open about financial decisions and financial moves. And I know you've also been involved through your philanthropy with girls' economic empowerment. So we could probably have a 5-hour conversation about how to empower women economically. But what do you tell to women and girls around the world about better optimizing their own financial power?
First of all, you really have to get out in the world and understand the way the world's working. If you're not worldly in the sense and you're watching other deals going down and what's worked, what's not worked, there's more startup companies, even in the tech industry, that fail immediately. You need to hone your instincts. And not only that, just don't keep it to yourself, but you bring advisors in. And they will school you, whether it's smart or it's not smart. And sometimes I will do things and I will say, I know this is going to work. And there have been a couple of investments I'm like, I should have done it. Like there's this company, Framebridge, that this woman started. And she asked me to invest in it, and people told me not to do it. And I'm really, to this day, I regret it. And I use her all the time. I just think it's one of the most brilliant companies that she's been able to start. You have to really keep your eyes and your ears open. And I'll tell you a story. I was in the owner's box, and I hear my partners, and they're talking to each other about investments. And there was this one investment that one of the partners wanted to start. And he says, I've gotten X number of thousands of dollars from Michael Jordan, and they're naming these names. And I'm like, well, if they're going to invest in that, why couldn't I? And I said, wait a minute, what are you all talking about? And they said, what are you talking? I said, I'm listening to you, and I want to be in this conversation, and I would like to invest. Well, you know, it may be closing. I said, no, open it back up. I want to invest in it. And to this day, I'm an investor in this company. But you have to have, what is it, the perseverance?
The gumption.
The gumption. You need to get in there and express your feelings.
You need to say, I want to be in this conversation.
And it's the way you communicate that with strength and confidence. And it'll say, I want to really, no, I want to be in there with you.
I hope we hear more women say that. It's hard, though. It's hard when the boys do the boy thing and go off in a group, and we don't have enough women in these spaces.
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting. The students that I put through school, especially through the Kennedy School, when they graduated, I gave them all a set of golf clubs. And they're like, why? I said, because there's more decisions made on the golf course than any other place. And so they've all learning to play golf, and they're going out there to play with their...
It's a good life skill.
Yeah.
And you also own a golf course.
Oh, boy, do I. I'm part of the PGA Tour.
And the only Black woman to be so.
Yeah.
You're breaking barriers left and right.